So we've had a pretty big delivery of what we call plug plants this morning. So I thought that would be a really nice opportunity to give you all a very quick potting demonstration. A simple task, but one that's essential to master if you're going to be successful in your own garden. So we're going to be potting Anthemis lemon ice this morning. Anthemis are a summer flowering perennial, and this one has lovely yellow daisy-like flowers in about June, July and August. So in terms of potting, a couple of key things to consider. We're going to use multi-purpose compost today, and we're using a peat-free mix. If you can use peat-free, it's much better for the environment, so I recommend that if you can. It's a nice thin crumbly compost, so it's ideal for growing young plants on very quickly in pots like these. Now we're using plugs today, so we tend to buy in plugs for things that are relatively difficult to germinate from seed. So if something's easy to germinate from seed, we'll do it ourselves. If it's relatively difficult, then we let someone else do the hard work for us, and we get these mini ready-made plants delivered in spring, and that's just a much more efficient way for us to do it here. So we like to peel off this little fabric, if you can see that up close. We like to peel off this little fabric container that surrounds the plug and sort of tease out the roots on the plug at the same time. That is biodegradable, so you can leave that on if you like, or if the roots aren't quite so developed, but we like to remove it if we can, just to make sure that those roots make contact with the new compost as quickly as possible. So fill your pot. We're using a square pot that's probably just slightly larger than your average 9cm pot, which you'll all have sort of plenty of at home, I'm sure. Fill your pot up to the right height. So what we're trying to replicate is the level of soil or level of compost of the plug. We'd like to keep that the same level when it goes into its final container. And the level of the compost in its final container should be something about 3 or 4 mil below the rim of the pot. So that's quite critical, so as you can get enough water in there when you're watering these plants later. Make sure that your plug or your plant or whatever it is that you're potting on is in the centre of the pot that you're potting it into, and you should also make sure that the compost is run through your hands before you're potting, just to get any sort of big lumps or bits of twig and things like that that may remain in there. So what I like to do is slightly overfill the pot. As I say, make sure your plug's in the centre of the pot, and then give it a good firm down. The firming down is really a sort of critical part of the potting process. And just give it a tap to loosen and level it up again. So as I say, you want to be about 3 or 4 mil below the rim of the pot. Too high, and when you water your plant, you won't be able to get enough water into the plant. And too low, when you water, the plant will be sitting in too much water and you'll likely rot the roots. But as I say, firming down is really the critical process. If you don't firm down, what will happen is when you do water your plant, the water that runs through the compost will go through all that loose compost, and the whole thing will sink very quickly and end up sitting too low in the pot. So get your fingers in there and give it a good firm down, and as I say, I like to give it a bit of a tap at the end just to loosen the top surface of the compost up again. So these Anthemis and lots of the other plugs, in fact, will actually form part of our offering in this year's plant sales area. So these will probably be on sale in 1.5 litre pots, probably in about May or June time. But don't forget that we have got lots of plants for sale already at the moment through our click and collect online shop. And I've just bought a couple here so that you can see. We've actually got some lovely flowering dwarf iris reticulata and some mixed flowering crocus as well. So make sure you have a look at our online shop and see if those are still available. And if you like house plants and growing indoor plants, we've also got some mystery cacti bundles where you can buy 5 mystery cacti from our collection for £10. So that's a real bargain, so make sure you check out those as well. Okay, so I've got lots of these to do, so you best leave me to get cracking on with it. Thank you.